Oh my goodness, it's been how long since I've seen you?
Beginning of the year, probably last year or something.
Right? It was something, it was around this kind of, I mean, before June, when we met on we saw each other again on the fashion show. You were
Your college, yeah.
your work and stuff. Oh my God, it's crazy, isn't it? It's been a year now since I've seen you.
Yeah, a whole year, yeah. But it's good, it's a good reunion.
Sorry?
It's a good reunion.
Yes, a good one indeed. Like I was really, really excited to like have you here because I was like, oh my goodness, I really, really admire your work and what you do. And
Thank you.
I even like for the first time ordered my first stop. I thought it was gonna come today, but so I can show you and stuff. But no, I'm really, really excited to get it. But no, I just love everything that you do. So I'm really glad that you were able to come here and do this as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Oh, that's amazing. So usually the way it works is I would just let you introduce yourself so everybody can know who you are, and then I will just fire in with a question. Then you go ahead, Mike.
All right. Okay. I'm Michael. My name is Michael. They call me Mr. Uzor. I have a brand called Uzor where I hand paint on clothing and Scottish inspired designs and artwork and be proud of themselves, and also allow Scottish people to understand us more, where we both have a good understanding of each other and we can work together better.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael. And also, I'm just going to fire in with the first question. When did you realize that you like art and wanted to become an artist?
Well, I always liked art from a young age, but I really started to like art even more when I was in my 6th year and I moved to a new high school. And my art teacher, I've never met an art teacher who loved teaching so much. You know what I mean? He was like, he would jump on the tables and animate his face, and he was so like, he was so full of energy. You know? And he would push me as well. He would be like, "Oh, Michael, I think you can like improve this one. Like, just go for it." So that kind of got me more excited. Like, if somebody can be so excited about art like that, it must be good. It
must be good. Wow, that's amazing. It's so crazy how the teacher can really make an impact on your learning as well, and make you want to, do something of yourself through obviously the subject that you obviously kind of discovered that was kind of your passion for life. Do you know what I mean? It's good that they give you, the love of art as well, to see that, you can do it as well yourself. That's really cool. Also, what artists did you look up to and admire growing up?
I really liked the Pokemon cards, those Pokemon cards when we were growing up.
Yes, I know those ones. It was a big deal having those. You don't understand. It was a a huge deal. So if you like Pokemon card, you were probably one of the coolest kids at school.
At school, yeah, exactly. So I like the artist. I really like the artist for the cards. His name's Ken Sugimori, and I like the way he drew on the cards, because I would also like cut out squares as well, tiny squares, and draw my own Pokemon cards, if I couldn't get them. So that got me interested as well. And I like just a lot of Japanese artists like Hirohiko Araki as well, who's a Japanese artist, and he's inspired by Greek statues and sculptures and Italian Renaissance style stuff. So I really like his type of art. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I like people who experiment with colors. There's so many artists.
Yeah, so you kind of keep you kind of like to allow yourself to discover all the artists that you can get, because there's so many artists out there. Do you know what I mean? So I can imagine
tons.
It's like kind of narrowing one or two could be really hard because you're inspired by so many as well.
Yeah, so many. But of course, there's always there's always people who you would want to meet. You know what I mean? I would want to meet him.
Yes. And you're like, you're praying that they stay alive until you meet them. You know what?
Yeah.
Please, God, keep them alive. I can imagine. And also, how important is representation in our community?
Representation is very important
Mm-hmm.
because if there isn't anybody who is African who's succeeded in an area, you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't want to. You wouldn't think you can succeed in that. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There needs to be somebody who kind of has done it before, so you kind of know the steps. You know, somebody to emulate. So I
Yeah.
think representation is really important.
Yeah. Amazing. And also, do you think there's been any improvement when it comes to diversity in the industry, like as a whole, worldwide?
Yeah, huge improvement. You know, what I mean, if you were to go back 40, 50 years ago, you know,
Yeah.
it would be rare to see an African person on TV in a commercial. I
Yeah.
mean, nowadays, when you look at commercials, even outside on billboards, you see an African person there, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean. And
Yeah.
even in the art industry and fashion industry, um, you know, it's becoming more and more. But I do believe that in Scotland, it's not really improved as much
Mm-hmm.
because even when I was down in London
Mm-hmm.
for interviews for fashion universities, I
Yeah.
was the only African person there, if you know what I mean, African
Yeah.
boy there.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a bit, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you're saying there's room for improvement there. They should
yeah,
showcase more people, who come from different ethnicities, so it can give other younger kids or anybody who wants to join that sector to kind of see a representation of themselves. You know what I
yes,
mean? Which is really important, and I think you're totally right because it's only when you see somebody who looks like you or kind of comes from somewhere similar to you, then that's when you kind of believe to yourself that if they can do it, I can do it too. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Kind of a push,
100%.
and we really need that, especially in these times as well. You know.
Yeah.
And also, when did you decide to mix art with your with clothing? Because obviously you say that you paint as well. So when did you decide to mix
Yes.
fashion meets art?
Well, um, first of all, I was really interested. For example, when we were talking about how we have to see somebody doing it, like we can try it as well. We're painting on clothing, but it was very graffiti like style, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to try it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it was quite funny because I was at a concert and I threw my jacket on stage, my
Oh,
painted jacket, and it was a Ray Shremmerd concert.
right.
And Sway Lee, he picked up the jacket and put it on stage. You know what I
Stop.
mean? And then
Stop.
that same day, yeah, no,
Stop. Stop.
I've got
Stop.
I've got videos.
Oh my gosh,
I
I
got
can't.
videos. Yeah,
Oh my, how was that feeling like? Having him showcase your work like that?
it was crazy, you know, because it made me feel like, wow, if he can wear it, you know, other people can wear it too, if you know what I mean.
Uh-huh.
And you know, that's how it just started to kind of more and more people start to get into it.
It must be the best feeling, having somebody that you obviously admire or like their music, celebrate your work in a way, full right in front of your friends and people similar to your age and getting kind of the first look into your world. Do you know what I mean? They're giving your world the recognition that it deserves. Do you know what I mean? It must be fulfilling. It must be a fulfilling kind of feeling once you see something.
Yeah, it was.
Do you know what I mean? Wow, that's amazing. I
Yeah,
bet
it
you
was
that's
a
one
great
of the
feeling.
stories you're
It
going to tell
was.
your grandkids, right?
Yeah. On my porch.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Also, what was it about the African culture that made you so inspired to create all your awesome work?
I wasn't very into my culture. You know, I was kind of ashamed of it because I was made fun
Yeah,
of,
yeah,
and you know, and
I can.
you were seen as strange, stuff like that. So I kind of shied away from it.
Yeah,
But you know, the older I got, I started to realize that African culture is amazing. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And my mom was a tailor at the time, and she would bring in tons of Ankara and African fabric,
mm-hmm.
and she would even bring in like clothing inspired by those Ankara prints, and I'll start wearing them out. And the more I wore them, the more I started to kind of enjoy the culture. So I
Wow.
decided to kind of include that into the artwork so other people can also feel comfortable and
Yeah.
proud to be African.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And it's crazy how you said as well that at the start, you weren't so sure because you were made fun of, you felt ashamed. And I think that's a very like common thing that as well that a lot of people of color sometimes experience, growing up because it didn't look like it was the coolest thing to kind of have. Do you know what I mean? It's like
No.
wearing like traditional clothes.
Yeah.
You would think, oh, this is not cool. It's not as cool as the things that you see on TV. You see more and more a lot of young people embracing the culture. So it's kind of good that people are now more and more accepting their culture. How did your family react
Yes.
when
Yeah.
you decided to start your own brand? How was their reaction like?
I mean, they were really encouraging. I mean,
Amazing.
my parents aren't gonna tell me don't do it. We even decided on the name together. I mean, Uzor.
Oh my
I
goodness!
mean, I'll kind of
Stop.
come in. We'll kind of
Okay,
discuss
that's a good.
names
I
and stuff.
didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I did not
Yeah.
know that. Wow. So how did that come about? How did you guys just come up with the name?
I mean, the name was given to me by my grandmother
Wow.
from my dad's side, Uzor
Ah,
Maka,
see. Wow.
which means daughter. I mean, rest in peace to my grandmother as well.
Yeah, rest in peace. Oh, what a
Yeah.
queen. It's amazing. It must mean so much to you. Do you know, it's like there's emotional attachment to the name. It's more than just a name. Do you know what I mean? It's like your identity is almost
Yeah.
a crown, that you carry with you. So it's amazing that you were able to use that, in your wow.
Yeah. Thank
And
you. Thanks.
no worries. And also, how do you feel about brands and designers who appropriate the Black culture and never give credit to the origin of their work? Because you hear that a lot on social media and everywhere. So, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's not really the best thing, especially for us Africans,
Yeah,
and especially if it's not coming back into the community, if you know
yeah,
what I mean, we're not getting that representation. But I still champion for different cultures and races and people, using different cultures as inspiration, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
I think that's a really good thing.
It's amazing.
Yves Saint Laurent did a collection in the 1960s. He had a retrospective in 2002, but he had a collection in the 1960s called the Africa Collection, where he had African Black models,
Mm-hmm.
wearing these really intricate, amazingly designed,
Was it
African garments.
the one that he was inspired by Morocco, or is it a different one? Because I remember he did.
I think it was that as well, because he was inspired by so
Oh,
many
because
different
if it's
cultures.
that
You know what I
one,
mean?
well, oh, literally, that's always been on my mind. Me and my friend always talk about that one. So that's a really, really good one. I know what you mean. It looks,
Yeah,
oh my God, it's just,
yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah. And it was incredible. Like, that's actually what even got me into fashion. So
Oh,
if I
wow.
didn't see that, I would have probably not gonna went for it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But isn't that amazing that he was able to kind of just showcase Africa in such a beautiful way? I mean, the clothes, the silk,
yeah, and he used African models too.
yes, which
Yeah,
which was really, really good as well and really important. Do you know what I mean? That's really, really
yeah.
amazing. Wow. Do you feel a sense of responsibility to your culture being a Black artist?
Yes, 100%. I believe that if we are going to improve Africa and make people be proud to be Africans,
Hmm.
everything that us Africans do needs to be for the betterment of the culture,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
What inspired you to write Afro Scott? Because I seen in your website that you also released a book.
Yes, it was a short story, just my experience growing up
Okay.
in Scotland,
Hmm.
because I grew up in quite, in the rough areas.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of write a story where people can read it,
Hmm.
maybe young people as well, and
Yeah.
understand that they can accept the African side and the Scottish side,
Hmm.
and not feel like they have to be an African stereotype or be a Scottish stereotype. Just be you, if you know what I mean. So
No,
that's kind of the
absolutely
ethos
agree
of
with
the
that as
book.
well. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
How has the journey of finding yourself been living in Scotland?
Well, it was a long journey, but I think sort of beginning of last year was when I kind of started to understand it, and I kind of just came to that final. I wouldn't say the final point because it's an ongoing thing, but I kind of got to that point where I was like, right, so this is me. Because I spent time around Africans
Yeah.
and I spent time around Scottish people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I kind of know what they're like,
Mm-hmm.
generally know what they're like. So what I realized was that we're the same. You know what I mean? It's just different skin color. We're really the same,
Yeah.
So the same thing you experience with an African, you experience with a Scottish person. So
Did you face any challenges, like obviously as a kid, growing up in Scotland?
yes, there was definitely challenges. For example, the negative things like racism, very clear racism, and then there's being left out, ostracized, having to fit in, getting into things that you shouldn't be getting into because of peer pressure, different things like that were definitely challenging, especially as an artist as well. When you're an artist, especially in the African community, it's not a thing that is, recurring. It doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
So when an artist is trying to grow up in the African community, you might kind of feel a bit left out because usually Africans go for engineering and doctors, and if you know what I mean,
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
kind of paths.
Yeah.
So me choosing art, I definitely had a lot of challenges. As in, do I fit in or do I, go this way as an artist? If you know what I mean. So that's probably my biggest challenge.
Can you walk us through your design process before painting an art piece on your clothing? What are the steps you take before finalizing your final ideas? What's that process like for you?
Usually, the ones that I spend the most time on, I usually hate. The ones I kind of just quickly go through. I love them. But usually at the end of each process, I don't really like my artwork. If you know what I mean, I'm like, I don't really like this at all. Yeah, until the public then says, oh, this is good. Because sometimes you can think what you did is good and people are like, nah, it's not.
I know. It's like finding a fine line. You know what I mean?
So how I start the process is, I look for inspiration. Of course, Africa comes in there. And then I look for something Scottish inspired as well. And then I kind of like to include dancing.
Wow.
Movement. I like including movement into the painting.
There's a lot of movements. There's a lot of joy. I love that. It's really, really good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I like to include all of that in the work, and tons of color, and so it's very expressive.
Yeah,
and it kind of goes with the whole diversity leads to creativity thing. Yeah.
What made you start your podcast? Because I know you also have an amazing podcast going on, celebrating African artists. Can you walk us through that as well?
Thank you, by the way. Our podcast is about what we've been talking about.
Yes.
What's like being an African growing up in Scotland, but I also want people to feel proud being an African as well, like you were saying. So what I do is I talk about successful Africans in the past or present, or even better if they're Scottish as well.
Yeah.
Just so young people can watch it, or even older people, and be like, okay, so if these people have succeeded, I can do it too. I can be proud being an African.
Yeah.
And also just talking about the Afro-Scot experience, not just my Afro-Scot experience, what other people's Afro-Scot experience, what's JJ's Afro-Scot experience, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of what the podcast is about. Yeah.
No, I mean, I've really loved it. I've just, even myself, I was learning about artists that I never heard before, and the fact that you were able to kind of teach us, because I really think, right now, especially in this time, it's important to educate people. Kudos to you. I find myself learning a lot. So that's really, really amazing that you're able to do that. It's really
thank you. Thanks.
Welcome. can you name me 3 artists that inspired you and helped influence your work?
Okay.
'Cause I know there's so many.
Three
So like,
artists.
if you can think of
Yeah.
3 in your head right now,
Okay.
you know.
Right. Okay. I love Neo Rauch. Neo Rauch is a German artist,
Uh-huh.
and he experiments with tons of color, and there's always a sense of danger in his paintings,
Mm-hmm.
which I really like. And
Yeah.
it's like surrealist and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like Salvador Dali.
Okay.
He's a surrealist painter.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very famous one. I kind of like his personality a lot. You can really see it through his work and his
Yeah.
technical and brilliance as well.
Yeah.
And I really like before, Hirohiko Araki.
Okay. Yeah.
He's a Japanese artist, and he uses a lot of color as well. I like color, so I like how he experiments with color and how elegant the figures are. So
Wow. That's
that's right.
amazing.
I mean, there's way more. I can keep going on and on.
I know you can have a whole dictionary, like, and I mean, and I think like it's
Yeah.
good as well that you're very resourceful. Like you research, new artists, and you research, even like the ones that came before us. So it's really good that you not only educate yourself, but then you take that and then educate the people who also are invested into your work as well, which is amazing. And also, what's your view regarding injustice that's happening in America right now towards black?
Yeah, it's very sad, and it kind of feels like we aren't really progressing past, what Martin Luther King did, for us. Um, hopefully this can, wake people up to the injustice that's going on, and also changes can start happening as well. But I also believe that us Africans need to start progressing,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean, past that point where we feel oppressed
Yeah.
and in danger, and when we start kind of progressing through, and this is really a good starting point as well. I feel like we all start to succeed a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, it's like, it's so crazy even to just think about it. We're still talking about this today. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
But it's like, it's like even watching the videos. I mean, it's just trauma. I mean, thinking about even myself, I could not even sleep. Just the thought of, the amount of death you hear every day, and But I do know that love wins on top of hate, and I'm seeing a lot of people coming together as a global unity, like as people, as human beings, people standing for what is right, which is really good as well to see. And I do believe change will come. We need to start as well believing in ourselves, but getting to the point where we don't feel the fear anymore of the oppression. Like,
yes,
it's really important. So you're totally right about that. Did you experience any kind of racism yourself growing up? If so, how did you deal with it when it happened to you as well?
I mean, how do you deal with
it? I know.
I mean,
I know.
What you could do, you can fight them. You can fight them. But at the end of the day, how many racist people are there? You know what I mean? There's tons. You're not gonna fight every single one of them. You know what I mean? So, I think it's just about when you experience it. After a while, you start to develop thick skin, and it doesn't really get to you anymore.
Yeah.
And there's a point where, I believe that when you start getting used to the racism, which is quite sad, but when you start getting used to it, you don't really think about it anymore. And then when people do things that could be seen as racist, you don't really see it as racism. It doesn't really get to you anymore because you've developed that kind of that scar tissue, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
you're totally right.
So that's kind of how I dealt with it.
How do you deal with something like that? Do you know what I mean? I mean, everybody obviously his experience is always different, but like you said, there's always people out there who are going to be like that. But I think it's important for the people who are owners of a lot of, like, whether it's entertainment, whether it's businesses, for them to also help make that change to include more diverse, group of people into their work, so people can get used to, seeing that, this is the world that we live in today. The world that we live in, it's always been the world that we live in today, where people come from different region and different continent, but yet we're all the same people. We just have different pigmentation of skin. So that shouldn't make somebody less of a person because they come from this place, or do you know what I mean? So I think it's the people up there and also us as well to help reinforce that as well. What advice would you give our young generation regarding this whole situation of injustice and racism?
The advice that I can give is share your story.
Yeah.
I mean, share a story to let people know what it was like for you growing up, as an African person, as a Black person.
Yeah.
I believe the best way to convince people or get people to listen is through work, like podcasts and, books or events. So I think that's probably the best advice that I can give is just share your story. Yeah. Share your story and experience. Yeah.
And also, now that we're living a pandemic right now, how have you kind of been keeping during this whole, Corona? How have you been keeping yourself? As they call it, COVID-19. If you want to feel more scientific.
Yeah, COVID-19. Yeah, I mean, we've been kind of, being in the house for months and months is tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if you're somebody who's constantly on the go.
Yeah.
I mean, like, where do you put all this energy?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good. The best thing is that you're around family. So,
absolutely.
I think that's the best stuff.
That's really important. I think a lot of people would appreciate that, that they have their own family they can go to. Obviously, a lot of people don't sometimes have that experience, How's your family keeping during these times as well? How are they all doing?
Oh, they're doing good. They're doing their own thing. I think we've gotten closer.
Wow.
Because of the corona, actually. Because you're always on the go, you don't really get time to kind of sit down and talk. So it's been good. They're doing good.
And I also know that your sister as well, she also do her own jewelry, right?
Yeah, she does, yeah.
Yeah, and I've also liked what she's been doing as well herself. I believe, you guys are twins as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we're twins, yeah.
Yes, which, funny thing is, I didn't actually know you guys were twins, and it was kind of also, happy birthday as well. I know it's already passed, but how was your birthday? How did you guys celebrate it? Was it just kind of a chill one at home? And
yeah, we were just at home. There's not much places we can go. So we just stayed at home, friends over, and went outside. It was really sunny that day. It was our 21st, so it was good.
Wow.
It was really good.
And how is it kind of like, sharing that experience of being twins with your sister? How is that like being when you guys were growing up and now that you're adults as well?
I mean, being twins means that we're a lot closer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing where they say we can read each other's minds.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like that, that type of thing. Yeah.
I think that is just the coolest thing ever, being a twin. I mean, it's so cool. You have no idea. And I also seen that, both of you guys, did you see when she started as well her own jewelry business? Was it kind of the same time you also started, or was it different time?
It was the same year. We both started in the same year. So she wanted to do her own thing too. So and she's doing really well too. So it's really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
And also,
she inspires me. We inspire each other.
So it's like vice versa. It's a mirror image of each other.
Yeah. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And also, what do you miss most during these times?
I miss being around people, a lot of people, if you know what I mean. I go to church, so I kind of miss being in the congregation at the church.
Yes,
I kind of, I just miss, and I just kind of miss being around people.
I know.
That's kind of what I miss.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, myself. I'm just like the same.
Yeah, yourself.
I miss, being able to go out with friends and being able to socialize with people, being able to just kind of, I love to eat. So I love to like always find new restaurants that I've never been before, and I love to, when I do have the chance to have a break, to travel as well, and, just kind of enjoy different cities, different sceneries. And, I love, fashion. I love to go to like different places where I can get inspired, so then I can, put in my work as well. So it's kind of, I miss being able to kind of do things outside with people and, the whole bit and friends, just, we all miss that. I'm sure when all of this is over, a lot of people would appreciate, the human connection more than they ever before,
Yeah, big time, definitely.
That would be kind of nice. I can't wait for that to happen.
Please, quickly.
I know, right? Like, and also, can we expect another exciting collection from you?
Yeah,
Anything
definitely. Sometime this year, kind of just collecting ideas together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to take a different direction.
Wow, that's amazing. What word of advice were you given growing up that stuck with you till today?
Express yourself.
Wow.
Yeah. My parents encouraged me to express myself and just be me. They never forced me to kind of do what wasn't right for me. Which is it's quite rare to see an African guy kind of pick fashion and study fashion. You know what I mean? Right. And they allowed me to do that and go the art route. So express yourself was probably a good one.
That's really good. Also, is there any word of advice you can give any young people wanting to start a new business venture?
Just go for it. That's the only advice I can give. Just go for it. I don't know what business venture they want to do, so I just go for it. And I feel like experience is the best teacher.
Yeah.
So, just kind of just go for it, and you kind of figure it out as you go. Yeah.
Amazing. And also, coming up to our last question, is there any word of wisdom you can give people watching this to help motivate them? Do we have any, Mr. Uzor, words of encouragement and advice,
Yes. The best words I can give is, I think somebody said this to me as well. He said, whatever you think is right. And that's so good, because I feel like we hesitate quite a lot. Before doing things, we hesitate, or we have self-doubt, so we think, what are people gonna think?
Yeah.
But when you kind of go with the whole whatever you think is right, there's no need to hesitate, if you know what I mean. And if you make a mistake, it is what it is. But I think
always
going with that whole whatever you think is right makes you very, very bold to just go for it.
You're always learning till the day you die. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, mistakes will always happen, and embrace them, and always, otherwise you just, go for it and allow yourself to improve, But, thank you so much for even being here, because I can imagine, you probably had a lot of things going on, but it's really nice that you took time, to come and inspire everybody else. And, I'm really, really like a fan of your work. Like I said, I cannot wait till my top comes, and you best believe I would rock the hell out of it. I love your work. Like, literally, it's just.
Yeah, I've got a top on right now, actually.
Oh, look! I like that one too. I like that one. That's the whole like map of Africa, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so. Is that like tartan mixed with? Oh wait, there are people dancing while wearing tartan.
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, you just done it so beautifully. And how did you do that? Was it? Did you draw it first and then painted it, or was it?
I sketch it out first, and then I design on the computer for the t-shirts.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it gets printed.
That's amazing. Really, really beautiful. But thank you so much, Michael, and thank you so much for being here. And I can't wait when this is over. Hopefully we'll link up. It would be lovely, you know, I mean, to see you again in
Yeah,
person,
definitely.
you know, but I wish you all the best. And I can't wait for new upcoming things you're going to bring out for us. And I would keep up to date with, you know, the podcast, and I would encourage everybody else as well to go check it out, you know, and I would link everything for people on YouTube to go and check your page out and website. So, but thank you again. And I hope
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
you have
having
a
me. I
lovely
enjoyed it,
rest
man.
of the day.
I enjoyed
Say
it.
hi to Michaela. Tell her I'm saying hi and sending her love my way, you know. So, hope you
Yeah.
have a lovely rest of the day, okay?
Okay.
Bye bye, friend.